If you've ever been on a phone call with a seller or a buyer that has a friend that is their real estate agent, and they know that the job didn't get done, you know that there's value you can provide, and they seem to be hesitant in setting that appointment with you, this is a way that I found to convert them at a much higher rate. It doesn't say you have to choose me now, but it does say there was a challenge. I've got multiple solutions, and these challenges that you're facing are costing you time, energy, and money. This one will help if you've ever come across this or you're looking to sharpen your skills and get better with these ones.
Hello?
Hey, Surreal. Josh Pono, good morning.
Hi, who is this?
This is Josh Pono. I was calling about 123 Main Street. Did you sell that property or is it still for sale?
I don't know, actually, it's for sale.
That's exactly why I'm calling. When are you interviewing the best agents to get the property sold?
Oh, you have a buyer?
Man, you do not hesitate or waste time. You probably got about 15 phone calls. I do not have a buyer currently, as evidenced by the fact that the property isn't sold. Are you only looking for an agent that has a buyer currently right now that's willing to pay your price, that didn't see it on the market, that now wants to buy it now that it's off the market?
Well, if you don't have a buyer, I don't see what else we need to talk about here.
Phenomenal point. Quick question for you. The wait for a buyer from an agent after a property was already on the market is usually about 99% unsuccessful, because if it would have sold when it was on the market and a buyer was there and they were willing to pay somewhere near your price. So what I've found, my best clients, they will say that they don't end up actually ever getting the property sold. It's just kind of a knee-jerk reaction to getting 100 cold calls on that day, knowing that everybody's calling now that it didn't sell. If the property doesn't sell in 90 days, are you going to keep it, or are you going to just wait forever until this strategy doesn't work?
Well, we don't have to sell, but look, Josh, I'm a busy guy. I'm sure you are too. I don't want to waste anybody's time. You can call me back when you have a buyer. All info is on the MLS from the past listing.
Sorry, I just got a text message. Say that objection again.
I'm sure. Look, it sounds like you know what you're doing. We lost my train of thought here.
My apology. I got a text.
Oh, you're fine.
Somebody was like,
but Josh, I'm a busy guy. I'm sure you are a busy guy too. Just give me a call when you have a buyer. You have all the details on the MLS. That's what you need to know about the property. Because right now, if you don't have a buyer, then there's nothing we can really we should really talk about.
I appreciate that. So in regards to when I call you and I have a buyer, what kind of buyer do you want? I'm assuming you're not going to take a cash buyer that wants to buy it at 90% value.
Well, the property is great. It's upgraded. We're asking what we want for it. And that's all there is to it. So there is that buyer out there that's going to fall in love with the property. All you got to do is find it. So when you find that buyer, just bring us, and we'll be happy to pay you a 2.5 commission and call it a done deal.
I appreciate that. It's really important that when you're marketing a property or when you're bringing a buyer, you know exactly what that is. And I appreciate you giving me clarity around you don't want to get a buyer that's going to pay 90% market value. You mentioned that this is a phenomenal property. The market is on fire. We're appreciating as we speak. Why did the agent say it didn't sell?
Well, we have our price. That's what we're selling it for.
And did the agent, when they took the listing, agree to get you your price?
Yes.
Well, no wonder you're upset. So at the agent community, no wonder you're firing off on me. You had somebody promise you to get something done. You've got a phenomenal property and it didn't sell. I'm assuming they didn't have any answers of why it didn't sell, or tried to blame the market, or not take accountability for it.
Oh, no, we're not upset here. It didn't work out. It didn't work out. But right now, we're not going to list it. We just want to have the buyer and call it a done deal, like I said.
No problem. My buyers are going to ask me about timeline, and you mentioned that you don't have to sell. Why do you want to sell, and when would be a perfect time for you to move? My buyers are going to ask when I talk to them and tell them about your property.
Well, we're not living in the property, so anytime the sale happens, it's good to go.
Got you. So it's actually an investment property. I'm assuming it's vacant, no tenant.
Yep.
Gotcha. And so every month that it's not occupied, or every month that it's not selling, is costing you money and also detracting from your ability to make a return. Is that right?
Well, sure it does, but fortunately, we're not really in that situation where we have to worry about it.
You know, I really appreciate that. Some of my wealthiest clients have that luxury as well. But you know what's interesting about the wealthiest clients is they may not have to take a sale because the previous agent said, you know, hey, we got to lower the price. And they said, actually, why lower the price 20, 30 grand? I could let it sit. But here's what I do know about my wealthiest clients. They never like money going out the window. Would you agree that despite the fact that you having the option not to have to be desperate or sell, you don't like it when money just floats out the window?
Well, we don't want to throw money out the window, and that's exactly why we want to sell it for the price we want to sell it.
Got you. And so if my buyer had a duffel bag full of cash and was willing to pay your price, you would sell this property, no questions asked. But in the meantime, you're tired of the agent community calling you, talking about what they can do for you after the first one lied to you, and you need a little break before you evaluate it, even though you're losing money out the window because it's costing you property taxes and insurance and you're not creating cash flow. Good news is the market's coming up and you'll probably get your price sooner rather than later. What's the plan to secure the buyer when waiting around for agents that don't have buyers to bring you them?
Well, we're not upset, actually. I'm kind of glad agents like you are calling, because one of them is going to have that buyer, and that's all we're looking for.
Gotcha. Now, in my experience of selling over 200 homes in the last 5 years and coaching thousands of agents, that is a needle in the haystack, a massive haystack with no magnet. So when you get tired of getting stuck in the fingers and underneath the fingernails from, hey, waiting around for buyers, what happens next? Because you're losing money and the market will be up and you will be able to get your price. How do you select the next agent should your plan fail, which has a 99% chance of waiting around?
Well, Josh, that's easy. That agent is the one that brings us the buyer.
Gotcha. So right now is just a horrible time. You have no interest in speaking about anything moving forward, and you're just going to sit tight until what, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. What if that buyer never comes? What then? Do you rent it?
Oh, yeah, we could do that eventually, go back to renting it.
Why did you want to sell it instead of renting it? What was the motive?
We're just kind of downsizing our portfolio. We're not too sure what we're gonna do with the money, but it's paid for. Like you said, yeah, of course we gotta pay taxes on it and the other couple of things we need to pay on it, but we're not really hurting by it sitting like that right now.
Totally understand. Most of my clients that are liquidating some of the portfolio, they're doing it because they feel that the economic turmoil is going to provide them opportunity down the road. What's your thought process? What's your thoughts? I mean, you're a savvy buyer. You own a lot of property. What's your thoughts on the incoming real estate market and the economy over the next 9-12 months?
Well, just like you, Josh, probably I couldn't really tell you where it's going. We just see a lot of uncertainty right now, and we didn't really care. We wanted to take a shot at getting our price for that property, and that's why it was listed. Now we're still open to selling it for the price that we want, and we're just asking all the agents that are calling like you to get us that buyer. That's
You really never have thought about actually doing business with somebody that would call you. You have your own connections and network. That would probably be a 99% chance where you would go to find the next agent. Am I onto something here?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah, I'm saying based on what you're talking about, it sounds like you had some connections. The first one failed. You're picking up everybody's calls because you do hope that maybe a buyer just directly comes to you and, you know, that needle in the haystack pops out. But at the end of the day, you strike me as a client that would, for example, some of the clients say, I would never do business with an agent that called me on the phone. Do you fall into that category?
No.
Gotcha. So you're open-minded about meeting new agents. Do you have any agents in mind currently that you're going to interview for the next position, or do you already have the next agent selected?
No, and like I said at the beginning, we're not thinking about listing at this point.
Gotcha. So based on the situation, you're going to hold on, you're going to wait. Hopefully a buyer comes around. And if it doesn't, then at what point in your head while you're calculating stuff, do you say, all right, maybe I need to change pace?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we need to change pace.
Hey, I don't want to waste your time, and I appreciate you spending all this time with me. I know that your statements are going to trip up 99% of agents. I know that all these other calls have been way more awkward because they're not trained on how to handle somebody as strong and as knowledgeable as you. Is it worth my time to follow up with you?
Well, we're really looking for that one buyer, not really thinking about listing. But if you're following up, what are you bringing to the table?
Well, I know my follow-up will be valuable to you because no matter where you're at in real estate, I can give you multiple options that have high success rates for you to accomplish your goal. I know for a fact I can deliver that because it's what I do. I'm just concerned that, and I don't want to waste your time, is that it seems like you initially put me into a category of people that are just wasting time. And so your script line and your delivery of bring me a buyer, which we know is not likely to succeed, because if there was a buyer out there right now that absolutely loved your property, 99% of all internet traffic comes from 99% of all showing traffic comes from people that are on the internet. And if they're on the internet and they're motivated and they're qualified, they went and saw your home. And if they went and saw your home, no matter how bad the agent was, if they looked at your price and they looked at the presentation and they looked at the staging, they looked at the whole thing, they already came to a conclusion that your price, whatever that may be, doesn't sit in value with them in alignment. So either A, you're waiting around and just hoping that some magical buyer comes in and goes, oh, I'll go ahead and take this. And then when they come in, and they know that it's off market. Have you ever bought anything off market, Surreal? Have you ever bought anything that nobody else knows about? Do you always pay full price or do you try to get a deal?
Well, it depends on the situation, really. It could go both ways.
Buyers in this market that just appreciated 50% that are paying 6% interest rates, are they more likely to want a deal that is off market, or are they more likely to just pay your price, which the entire market just said they won't pay?
Well, you have a point on one end, but as far as I know, there is really low inventory. So off market is still a good opportunity for someone who's looking for a home and not finding it as of what's active on the MLS.
Yep. And I think that there's a very, 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 very small chance that you get your price. If anybody could do it, it's probably you. When that person calls you up and that agent calls you up and says, hey, great news, I got a buyer. How are you going to validate that they actually have a buyer that's been screened and qualified and they're not just trying to get in the door to get your listing?
Well, they're coming with an agent, right?
Yeah. And I've got buyers that want to buy homes that I don't even want to show them homes because I know they're not qualified. How are you going to qualify the people that are coming in that the agent's actually done the job and not wasting your time even more so, which you don't want?
What do you suggest?
That's exactly why we should talk.
Bingo. Cool. That's a good one. You know, those guys, they tend to circle around quite a bit and just bring it back to the main point.
Yeah, at some point, look, those are the hardest ones, man.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the hardest ones because there's the underlying things that are going on in there, right? Which is why I started to like go at those of like, hey, are you somebody that would never do business with somebody on the phone?
Yeah.
Right? Because their strategy is a failing strategy, and deep down they know it. They're pissed off. They're being passive aggressive. They're calling these agents of like, I'm going to screw with these agents. They get a kick out of like hanging up the phone and being like, I'm smarter than them. I gave them I'm only working with them. Oh, well, maybe I have a buyer. Oh yeah, you have a buyer. Let me prove you wrong and make you look stupid. They get a kick out of that. And it helps them feel good a little bit because they feel like they were just beat up. So I might ask questions like, hey, do you feel like you got beat up on this one? Hey, do you feel like you're angry at the agent community?